Well, it is wonderful to be with you today. I want to thank President Michael Crow and Executive Vice President Nancy Gonzalez for their very kind words and for this extraordinary honorary degree. And to all of the faculty and the staff, the regents and the trustees of Arizona State University, to the proud parents and family members whose love made today possible, and most importantly, to all of you, the graduates of the class of 2023, I am just so honored to celebrate with you on this special day when you graduate from one of the nation's finest institutions, one built on the principles of innovation, inclusion, and community, the one and only Arizona State University. Now that we have formally met, you know something about me that most people don't, which is that despite this uniform that I wear, and despite what most people at the airport and at my kids' school think, I am not, in fact, an airline pilot. This uniform that I wear is the uniform of the United States Public Health Service. This is one of our nation's 8 uniformed services, the only one dedicated to advancing the health of the nation, and the service whose 6,000 dedicated officers I'm privileged to oversee as Surgeon General. And like many of you, my own journey to this stage was rather unlikely. If life was governed entirely by probability, I would be growing rice, tamarind, and coconuts in a poor farming village in India, just barely scraping together the resources to feed and clothe my family. Because that was the life that my grandfather led and that my father was destined to lead. But the funny thing about dreams is they take root in unlikely places. And my father, in the midst of bracing poverty, found himself dreaming of a brighter future, full of opportunity in a faraway land. He was dreaming of America. Nearly 40 years ago, my parents managed to come to America with little money and few connections, but with high hopes for the life that they could build for themselves and their children. They inspired me to become a doctor through their own care of patients, and they raised my sister and me to believe that America was a place where your ideas and your willingness to work hard mattered more than the color of your skin or the sound of your accent or how funny sounding your name was. And I tell you that despite all of our imperfections as a nation, that I stand here before you fully aware that in few other countries in the world could the grandson of a poor farmer from India be asked by the president to look out for the health of the entire nation. That is the power and promise of America, and I will always be grateful for it. Now, over the last 4 years, and more and less in some cases, you have been through a college experience unlike any other prior generation. You were forced to confront the upheaval of COVID-19, which changed how you learned, how you engaged with classmates, and how you thought about the world that awaited you after graduation. And while you did not invite these hardships of the last few years, the fact that you navigated so much of it to arrive where you are today is a profound statement about your determination and your resilience. Now, I have met members of your class over the last 2 days, and I've had a glimpse into how extraordinary you are. Your class includes students who were the first to go to college in their families, students who earned their degrees online while working full-time jobs and supporting their children, students who had not one major, or 2, or 3, but 4 majors. And I will say that I only had 1 in college. That was all I could manage. But it also includes students whose postgraduate work will shape everything from sustainability and architecture to manufacturing and how we prepare our nation for future public health threats. I could not be more proud of everything that you have accomplished. And as you prepare for the next chapter in your life, you may be wondering what kind of world you're inheriting. Now, on the one hand, it is a world filled with challenges, from poverty and violence to climate change and an escalating mental health crisis. But despite what you may read in the news, and even despite the challenges that you may have experienced yourself, I want you to know here and now that all is not dark in the world. There are many, many reasons to be hopeful. I know this because I see it every day in communities all across America when I visit. The neighbors I encounter who help each other with childcare and with getting to doctor's appointments, they remind me that we are still a generous people. The nurses and doctors who put themselves in harm's way to care for patients and who did so during the worst moments of the pandemic, they remind me that we are brave and dedicated. That's right, we are. And the students I encounter who are creating programs to address loneliness and support the mental health of their classmates, they remind me that we are a compassionate and dedicated people. It is true that there is real hardship in the world and that people aren't always the best versions of themselves. But don't let what is broken about the world blind you to what is beautiful about the world. For all its flaws and imperfections, there is still a lot of good to be found all around us if we are willing to look for it, if we are willing to be it. As you set out into this new world, what I want for you is what I suspect your families want for you: a happy and fulfilled life. And today I want to offer you 3 gifts that you can cultivate that will help you find that happiness and fulfillment in the years ahead. The first gift is clarity. Clarity about what truly matters to you. Now, we all need an internal compass to help us make decisions and respond to challenges. But having an internal compass requires getting really clear on what truly matters and what truly brings you meaning and fulfillment. Now, this isn't easy to figure out because the world around us is constantly telling us what we should care about. Now, some years ago, I met a patient who worked for years in the food industry with a modest salary and a humble lifestyle. And then one day, the unexpected happened. He won the lottery, literally. Overnight, his life changed. He quit his job and he moved into a large house in a gated community. Yet as he sat across from me, he sadly declared, winning the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to me. He was wealthy, but he was alone. He no longer knew his neighbors, and he lost touch with his former coworkers. He was lonely and depressed, and not long after, he developed high blood pressure and diabetes. Now, what struck me about him is that he was happy before he won the lottery. He enjoyed the company of his colleagues at work. He found gratification in being able to serve his customers. And knowing his neighbors made the place that he lived truly feel like home. The world that we are living in tells us that if we can just get enough money, get enough promotions, and get enough recognition, that we will have made it. We'll be successful. But I know many people who have achieved in all of these areas, but are unhappy and feel empty. Success without fulfillment is not success at all. To get clear about what matters to you, you have to search for the moments that have brought you deep fulfillment and joy, those experiences that have made you feel excited and alive. And the clues for this may be buried in your past, in summer experiences, in side jobs, in the classes that you took here at Arizona State University, or in late-night conversations with your classmates. And if you haven't experienced such moments yet, keep trying to find different experiences. Because finding what truly matters to you is like falling in love. You know it when you feel it. It's worth searching for. And once you've felt it, you want to hold on to it. As Steve Jobs once said, life is short, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Now, it's one thing to have clarity on what brings you fulfillment. It's another thing to actually pursue it. There are times your internal compass will guide you to a decision that's hard or unpopular. It might involve saying no to a high-profile job or turning down a lucrative opportunity. It might risk disappointing your friends or your mentors, and that can be scary. And that is why the second gift that I wish for you is courage. Now, when the Twin Towers fell on 9/11, on that fateful morning 22 years ago, There were thousands of Manhattan residents who fled south looking for an escape from the growing inferno behind them. But instead of relief, they were greeted by the unforgiving waters of the Hudson, which offered them no path to safety. Now, the panicked crowd continued to grow until the U.S. Coast Guard made a key decision. They issued a radio call to every civilian ship in the area, asking them to join in an unprecedented civilian rescue mission. The response was overwhelming. Within minutes, the Hudson was covered with scores of boats streaking toward the southern tip of Manhattan. They pierced through the dense cloud of dust and debris and brought soot-covered people on board, offered them water, and ferried them to safety. In 9 hours, nearly 500,000 people were rescued. The 9/11 boat lift became the largest boat rescue in the history of the world. But the 9/11 boat lift was powered by ordinary people. They were never trained in emergency response. They would never describe themselves as heroes. And they had every reason to flee for safety themselves. But their courage is what allowed them to act. Vincent Ardolino, who was a captain of the Amberjack that day, said his wife thought that he was a maniac for wanting to take his boat toward Manhattan when he got the call. But he knew that he had to go. Never go through life saying you should have, he said later when he was reflecting on that decision. If you want to do something, you do it. We all have the capacity to be courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to move forward even in the face of your uncertainties and fear. And courage doesn't always look like rescuing people from an inferno. More often, it's found in the small decisions that we make. Do we raise our hand and offer a solution to a problem even when we're not sure we're right? Do we speak up and respectfully share our ideas even if we know people might disagree? Do we take the initiative to introduce ourselves to our neighbors or to start a conversation with a classmate or a colleague? Courage is a muscle that grows as we exercise it, and if we don't, it weakens and allows our fear to keep us from growing and flourishing. And as we cultivate courage, it allows us to make bigger, tougher decisions. It helps us take a risk on a job that excites us, even if it has less social currency and compensation. It empowers us to tell someone that we love them, even if it feels scary to be the first one to say it. It motivates us to stand up and ask for help and check on our friends who are struggling, even if we're not always sure how to fix their problems. And it inspires us to stand up for those who are being treated unfairly. Do one brave thing each day, however small, and you will build the courage to live the life that you deserve. Even with clarity and courage, true fulfillment and happiness may elude us without the third gift: connection to loved ones. None of us, no matter how strong or skilled we are, can navigate the world alone. We all need people. People to support us, people to guide us in our journeys. Which is why the most important ingredient to a fulfilling life is to put people first, at home, at work, and in all parts of your life. It's the relationships you build and sustain that will be your greatest source of strength in the years ahead. They will soften the sting of disappointment, and they will give you strength during hard times. They will ground you when you are feeling lost and amplify your moments of joy. And when we fail to sustain our relationships, the result can be painful. This was a lesson that I learned the hard way. In 2017, my life changed overnight when my first tenure as Surgeon General ended abruptly. I was suddenly separated from the work and the colleagues that I loved, and I had no idea what to do. I spent months struggling to find direction. In addition to losing my community at work, I had made a critical mistake. I had also allowed my ties to family and friends to diminish when I was in the job. The cumulative effect of many small moments of putting work ahead of the people I loved. At this point, I wanted to call them, but I was ashamed to ask for their support when I hadn't exactly been a supportive friend to them when I was in office. and feeling distant from the ties that had nourished me led me to a deep sense of loneliness. And loneliness paved the way for self-doubt as I came to question my own self-worth. It took more than a year of struggling with the pain and shame of loneliness, but I eventually found my footing. I didn't do it on my own. My mother, father, and sister, they called me every day to remind me that they loved me for who I was. My wife, Alice, reminded me that the light she saw within me when we first met was still there, even if I couldn't see it at times. And my friends, Sunny and Dave, committed to video conference with me once a month and text and talk weekly about the issues that weighed on our hearts and minds. Over time, I slowly healed. I laughed more. I came to appreciate small moments of wonder, and I started looking ahead rather than backwards. I healed because of the people in my life. At a moment when I felt like my soul had a tear in it, they patched me up with their acts of love. That is the power of human connection. It makes us whole. It focuses us on what matters. And it reminds us of who we are, especially when we forget. It is the people we love that will bring us back to this truth. These three gifts, clarity, courage, and connection to those we love, these gifts are the key to a life of fulfillment, contribution, and joy. And they are within your power to cultivate. In the years ahead, I know that there will be setbacks and moments of doubt that will inevitably surface in your life. And so I leave you today with a practice, a simple practice that you can turn to during those difficult moments. It's a practice that I use myself. I want you to take your right hand and hold it up and place it over your heart and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and think about the people in your life who have supported you on your journey to this moment. Your dear family, your close friends, your treasured teachers and mentors, the people who have been with you during your moments of celebration and joy, and who have stood by you during times of disappointment and pain. Feel their love flowing through you, strengthening you, guiding you, and filling you with peace. You are deserving of this love. And know that their love is always there for you, whether they are with you or not, because it resides in your heart. Now open your eyes. What you felt in that moment was the power of love. Love is the world's oldest medicine. It is what I wish for you more than anything else in the world. Your ability to give and receive love is your greatest gift and your greatest power. It is what will sustain you on every step of the journey ahead. Class of 2023, I wish you a lifetime of happiness, fulfillment, and joy. Congratulations.